Hey guys, welcome to Sharks Academy. And before we dive right into the weekly market analysis, we are having a pre-Christmas sale. And if you are ever interested to learn from the Sharks, please drop me a message in the YouTube description below. And let's dive right into it. So first up, we have the dollar index, and on the daily time frame, you can see that we have this liquidity being created, this H4 liquidity trend line. So with such a bullish movement like this, you can almost expect prices to reach out towards the liquidity high. And this means that we have a range from here towards these highs, which means that we are going to be bullish on the XY. So if you are looking to trade the dollar pairs, we are looking to buy Q and sell this, right? So buy and sell this from here towards these highs created by the trend line. So next up, we have the Aussie dollar, and you can see that we are going sell side. Yes, prices broke structure here, and we are looking to sell, but we're going to sell high. We're going to sell here and at this level as well. So look at this. Put the entire thing into market context. Let's go to the 8 hours and understand where this move came from. Okay, so we're going to look left, and you can see clearly that we have this 8 hours demand zone that was left unmitigated, like this. So this is a demand zone that was left unmitigated, and guess what? Taps perfectly into this area. So it's fine if we do not catch a buy like this, right? Because we do not operate like this. We wait for confirmations. We let prices tell us where it wants to go. So now on the daily time frame, you can see that there is a 8 hours demand. Prices taps into this level. Broke structure here as well. So if I want to be a buyer, where am I going to buy from? I'm going to buy over here. So with this, we expect an immediate sell side move towards this level before buying into potential sell areas. So this is a buy to sell move. So in fact, you can sell from here to buy in from here and to sell from here potentially, right? So let's go up to the weekly. And you can see we have an ultimate break of structure here, which means that we are sell side until prices broke this high, right? And this move over here taps into some sort of a supply on the lower time frame, highly likely, right? So we can see still bearish, and now delivering bearishly as well. So with the current framework that we have on the daily and on the 8 hours, this is a potential sell to buy, sell from here or from here. Okay, so let's go and see how can we catch the immediate sell side move. This is a liquidity grab. Okay, at this point of time, we do not know whether it was a liquidity grab or not until prices broke this structure here. Can you see this is a demand zone that failed to hold? So now if I want to be a seller, where am I going to sell from? I want to sell potentially here or here. This supply here is valid as well. So these are my two areas to sell from. Of course, let's go down to the lower time frame and look for what can we sell from. So yes, ultimately, if I want to be a seller, I want to sell from this high to go lower. Okay, understanding that there is trendline liquidity here, which is almost certainly going to get grabbed, and this would incentivize prices to reach into this demand area. Next up, we have the Euro Pound, and you can see this break of structure over here, liquidity highs. So I'm pretty sure that we mapped this out many times, and the analysis stays the same. We have yet to grab liquidity towards the upside, and prices did tap into a demand zone that is valid. So let's go down to the daily time frame. You can see clearly a break of structure happens here. Alright, and we have two areas to buy from. We're going to buy from here and this area. So let's go down to the lower time frame, and you can see clearly why. So this is an 8 hours demand, and what lies beneath all of this is a liquidity area. So you want to ultimately buy from here. Otherwise, look for areas to buy lower over here as well. So if prices were to make its way down, look for a structural shift on whatever time frame they're looking at. So you can use 1 hour as a confirmation. You can wait for 4 hours as well. So if prices were to come down, shift in structure on the 4 hours. Let's say this is a 4 hours BOS. What you can do is trade off this entire framework where prices have a demand area, a newly created POI, and simply buy off here, right? Understanding that this is risk entry. Otherwise, expect a higher move up on the H4, a break of structure here. So now we have bullish order flow. Why? Because prices steps into an area of refined zone or demand area, broke structure again, and now we have a bullish movement. So all we need to do is to look for new areas of demand to buy from. So this is one of the ways where you can catch a higher time frame move. Otherwise, if you are a lower time frame trader, I want to have a pro trend in my favor, which means to say I am still looking for this H4 BOS. And then what I'm going to do next is to go down to lower time frames, perhaps the 1 hour or the 15 minutes, and look for a 15 minutes shift in structure. And that's how I'm going to catch a lower time frame shift like this, a 15M shift. Okay, depends on you. You can look for Wyckoff here on the 5 minutes or the 1 minute. You can look for a break of structure on the 15, or you can wait for S&D flips to happen over here, where prices actually reacts from before breaking structure. Then where is your flip zone? Your flip zone will be over here. So this is how you can get entries as well. So all of these are one of the methodologies that we use in Sharks Academy. And if you are ever interested, please join our mentorship program. Otherwise, look at this. We are still looking for this framework to happen, right? Understanding you can catch so many ways. You have a 15 MBOS over here, right? You have a lower time frame structural shift. This leaves behind another refined area to get involved. And if you are not certain about this move, then simply wait for another pullback, break of structure, then catch the next move, because you want to see a bullish movement. It starts occurring before you take the trade. So this is another way, and this is more conservative. Where is our target then? This is our first target, because this is the new H4 BOS that was happening, right? We have a new range created, no doubt. We're working with this entire framework over here with this BOS, right? So this is ultimately our target, of course. And if you were to catch a move like this, you have a potential run towards the highs over here, 1:17, right? But this doesn't mean that we're going to hold the trade from 1:1:17, right? We are going to take partials along the way. We are going to manage our trades accordingly. Next up, for the Euro Yen, you can see that this entire price action over here, we have a break of structure ultimately at this level, which means to say we are ultimately trying to trade into the upside over here. So this is a sideways market. You can say there is a triangle or whatsoever, right? Doesn't matter. We just know that we are ranging in this triangle. So now, if I want to be a buyer, I'm going to buy over here. Okay, so this is a demand area that I'm looking for. Currently, prices are bearish. We are delivering lower. So if I want to be a seller on the weekly time frame, on the sell high, I don't want to sell over here. And let's go down to the lower time frame. And you can see clearly prices broke structure here, yes, and then broke it down here. If I want to be a seller, I'm going to sell over here as much as possible. Okay, so now once prices makes a pullback, just go down to the lower time frame. You can use the 1 hour or the 15 minutes to look for a pullback, the shift, the test into last buy to sell, or any refined areas inside of here to catch a move downside. So if prices were to pull back from here, this creates a potential trendline liquidity. Okay, and this may incentivize prices to grab them to go lower. So looking left, look at this. This is an institutional movement, right? We have the sideways movement, the break of structure towards the outside. So this move over here, look for potential demand zones to get involved. You can certainly expect a bounce from any of the demand areas over here that are left unmitigated. So let's go and take a look. So all of this has been mitigated, and let's play around the time frames. So you can clearly see that there is an 8 hours demand over here that was left unmitigated. So maybe this is not a clean one. Let's go down to the 4 hours and take a look. Look at this. We have a buy to sell here. So with this, we expect prices to at least reach towards this level of demand. And then we'll make a move from there, right? Because if I want to be a seller here, ultimately, I'm going to sell into here. Okay, so this is a valid demand. Prices indeed grabs liquidity first. You can see this entire price action over here, right? We have a strong sell before the breakout. And the last point of mitigation is over here. Otherwise, we have another one here, you can see. This is left unmitigated as well. And this entire week, you can almost certainly expect some sort of a lower demand area or a refined area inside this week. So ultimately, if you want to be a buyer, I want to buy at this level. But understanding that the entire framework is towards the sell side for now on the daily time frame, because you have this, right? You see on the 4 hours, you have a buy, a strong buy, followed by a strong sell. So I'm going to be a seller here. I'm going to be a seller higher over here. Okay. And do we do the guesswork? We don't do the guesswork because we understand that we are going to use step 3, which is the confirmations. On the lower time frame, And that will help us decide which S&D zone to use. So ultimately, this one over here, and let's go down to the lower time frame. This one over here on the 1 hour. So both are valid for sells. And we are going to sell into these two areas over here. Next, we have the euro dollar. You can see this is a breakout structure towards the downside. And now we have a breakout structure towards the upside. So where is liquidity at this point of time? Above, over here. So I am ultimately trying to buy into these liquidity highs. So where can I buy from in that case? Because prices failed to reach out to liquidity highs and it's looking towards the downside. So let's play around the time frames to look for demand zones over here, because we understand that this entire move is still bullish until this low has been broken. So right now, look for demand zones that are left unmitigated. Alright, on the 1 hour. Okay, so on the 1 hour, you can see this is a demand area that was left unmitigated. So we have a potential area to buy from. So no doubt prices are bearish now. You can see that this is ultimately trying to reach for liquidity lows over here. So yes, prices can come back down and starts to give us the shift that we want to look for, right? So you want to see what is your pro trend. You can use H1 as your pro trend, or you can use H4 as your pro trend. So what do I mean by that? You want to see a H1 BOS over here, or a H4 BOS. After that, go down to the lower time frame, look for defined areas, and then look for the lower time frame shifts to happen over here. And similarly over here as well. So let me just redraw this. It would be something like that. Yes, correct. So this should happen on both ends, right? This can happen here as well. So both are valid areas to buy from. So the post analysis for euro dollar that we took this week, I think it was on Friday, right? This is the breakout structure. This is the demand zone. So now what leaves behind over here? Liquidity highs. Highs and trend lines. You can draw it over here, or this doesn't really matter. We are looking for the high over here, right? So when prices tapped into this area, what did we do? Let's go down to the lower time frame. On the 1 minute, can you see that this is a very clean wipe off, right? This one over here, it's wipe off. We have the silent climax, on-rate rally, ST, signs of strength, ST and B. So this schematic doesn't have a spring. Look for the breakout structure here. So this is the BOS at this point of time. BOS, and then this is another accumulation phase. Can you see? It's the same thing. At this point of time, when prices break structure, I was looking for a demand zone over here. Okay, so I sent the chart out. I was looking for a demand at this level. Didn't happen. Prices starts to accumulate again at the automatic rally area over here. So this is the test of the upper range. Alright. So let me just remove this. Accumulation breaks out of structure again over here. So where is the White schematic? Again, silent climax, on-rate rally, ST, signs of strength, ST and B, breaks out of structure. Where is the demand zone? Here. So can you see it's the same thing altogether? Buy over here, stop loss beneath this level. Okay, beneath the low of this. I don't like to put my low beneath this level. I like to put my low beneath the ultimate low, which is here. Alright, and this made a runner into liquidity highs here. So this is a 1:14 ultimately. Right, so can you see where prices actually went into? It grabs this liquidity here. This is a swing high, can you see? It didn't really exactly tap into the swing high. I think it tapped into the supply instead. Can you see this is a supply zone that is valid? So perhaps it taps into this area. Okay, so I didn't target for this. I was happy with this range that I was working with, because this was the break of structure, right? Low, break of structure. My liquidity is going to be here. This is my target. I didn't look for this area over here, and this was about to run for 1:26. So it's fine. I didn't take it up for the pound yen. You can see that the entire move started from this level. This is a low that broke structure, right? Or whether it's a liquidity grab or not. Then it broke structure towards the upside. So now we are definitely bullish, and ultimately if you want to be a buyer, you have to buy from where? You have to buy from low. You know, buy somewhere inside of here, right? And this leaves an entire range for us to go towards the downside. So let's go down to the lower time frame and take a look. So now, with this immediate structure here, we are still bullish on the daily. So this can be the next range that you're looking for, trading inside of this bullish movement on the daily, on the weekly, right? And if I want to be a buyer, I'm going to look for some sort of a demand area inside of here. So you can see this is a demand area. Okay, prices broke through and then broke back up towards the upside. So it broke down this demand, then broke this level, and continued to deliver higher. So ultimately, if you want to be a buyer, I want to buy over here, right? But the problem with this is that we have a trend line liquidity lying beneath this level of demand. And also on the daily time frame, you can see this is equal lows, right? So this is liquidity. So you can see that your entire POI that you're going to buy from has liquidity lying beneath here. So ultimately, if I'm going to be a seller, I'm going to sell high, I'm going to sell here potentially. And if I want to be a buyer, I'm waiting for a buy all the way over here, right? So let's go down to the lower time frame and look for areas of demand zone that was left unmitigated. So on the weekly, on the daily time frame, we have this demand here. So this is valid for buys. And yeah, I'm actually looking to buy over here. Okay, so you can see this entire range is ready for you to sell. And we can look for this breakdown or pullback. This is valid as well. We can wait for a move higher and breakdown. This is valid as well. So all of these are valid areas to sell from. So now we have pound dollar in our watch list. You can see this is a clear break of structure here. And this means that if you're going to be a buyer, we're going to buy low. We're going to buy over here, perhaps, right? And some sort of demand inside of here as well. So if we were to use the entire framework as our analysis, or in our analysis, you can see that there is a supply zone that broke structure. And now prices came back to tap into another supply zone here. And then again, broke structure, right, towards this area. So let's take a look at this. This is a liquidity grab, right? So this is the buy side liquidity, prices grabs and break structure. Where is the break of structure then? Here. So now I'm definitely going to sell, right? But where am I going to sell from? I'm going to sell into this demand for sure. Why? Because this is still a sell to buy that broke structure. So if prices really wants to go higher, where can it go from? It will go from here towards the outside. So my sell target will definitely be towards this level here, right? So now look at this break of structure again. And now if I'm going to be a seller, I'm going to sell here. Okay, I'm going to sell higher over here. So these are the two areas that I'm going to sell from. And this is another area to sell because, of course, this creates trendline liquidity and prices can easily make its move higher into supply zone before breaking down into liquidity lows over here. Right, all of this will be used as targets because if I want to be a seller, sell. If I want to be a buyer, I'm going to buy here, right? So this is behind a range. Anywhere from here was this as my sell area. Prices can move back up into supply zone instead of here. Let's go down to the lower time frame to look for supply zones. 4 hours, we have this one over here. Right, so this is a valid supply zone to sell from. So if prices were to pull back, gives me a shift in structure here, I can sell towards my target, which is the buy side area. And if prices shifts from here again, I can look for a move towards the upside. And this means that the order flow has been fractured. We are going down to the bullish movement. Next up, for the New Zealand dollar, we are at the buy area. Why is that so? Again, break of structure, right? And this is where the point of invalidation is. Means to say that if prices breaks this area, we are going bullish. So clearly prices haven't gone bullish just yet. But this is a sell to buy that broke structure over here. Okay, so temporarily we are bullish. And if I want to be a buyer, where I'm going to buy from? I'm going to buy from potentially over here. Otherwise, over here. So the low ultimately comes from here. And that is why we are still sell side. Even though this looks super bullish, right? Because this is the structure, right? So we are at the extreme highs. Prices grabs liquidity here before going lower. So now, do I have enough range to go for sales? At this point of time, no. Why? Because we are at a valid demand area, right? So this is a demand area that was created from this level because prices broke structure here. So the low or the demand that caused this break of structure comes from this level. This is a demand zone that was created based off this structural break on the lower time frame. Yeah, this bullish move. This broke structure here, right? Leaving behind the demand. So we can almost expect a bounce here which is now currently giving us some sort of a reaction. And what I want to see over here is a failed reaction, which means to say, if prices taps in, pull back, whether or not it mitigates doesn't matter. Break structure, I'm going to sell here because this is the supply that caused the demand to fail. So this is the supply and demand flip, right? And then with the same 3-step process, understanding now you have a weekly break of structure, you are looking for a pullback to go lower. Okay, so weekly time frame is one of the areas, one of the time frames you can use. Otherwise, you can go down to lower time frame like the 4 hours or so, and this sets the immediate direction. So the reason why you don't want to use a 1-minute break of structure is because if you were to use a 1-minute break of structure like this, then your range is just the 1 minute, right? Your high time frame, your step 1 process is basically 1 minute. And if I were to use a H4 BOS here, this means that my step 1 is H4, and I can go to the lower time frames like the 15M, right, to look for structural shifts like this. So I want to see a 15M demand zone, taps in, failed reaction, doesn't matter, break structure. So if prices were to tap into my 15M demand like this, makes a higher high before the break of structure, it doesn't matter because I can still sell over here, right? So this is the framework I'm looking for, and ultimately I want to see rejections of this level, which is currently giving us, and sell from the flip zone. Otherwise, sell from higher areas like this. The daily, we have this demand zone. So this is definitely valid for sells. Over here, we have the dollar Canadian. So our analysis stays the same. We still have a break of structure here. High, low, high, BOS, right? This means that we are going sell side. So now prices did grab this liquidity here. You can see this is a buy side LQ. And now taps into an 8 minutes supply. So if you have watched the previous analysis, you understand that there is an unmitigated 8 minutes of supply. So if you want to be a buyer to push prices higher, I want to buy from here. Ultimately. So let's go down to the lower time frame and see what our prices doing. On the 4 hours time frame, which is my high time frame structure, I have a clean BOS over here. And anytime over at this area, I'm looking for sells. So you can see this entire area over here is ready for sells. Play around the time frames, you want to look for refined areas. This is a refined area as well. Inside of this wick is a refined area as well. So you can use this wick over here as your supply and understand that prices indeed tap into your wick area. Okay, so now you're ready for sells. And what you're looking for, it depends on your confirmation time frame. For me, I'm looking for 15M, and at this moment, I'm ready for sells. Okay, but because market gaps and market opening on Monday will be a different story, right? Ultimately, this is what I look for. I want to see a strong intention of buy. I want to see this demand zone over here, right? So now once I see a break of structure happening, I can look for sells. Okay, I can look to sell over here almost immediately. Okay, so then again, because it's going to be a Monday opening, it will be different. You can see there's clear Wyckoff inside of here as well, right? We have the buying climax automatic rally. We have the ST signs of weakness, UT, UTAP break structure, right? So it depends on you. If you are using weak breaks, this is valid for sells already. Okay. Otherwise, if you are looking for a clean break of structure, right, you want to see candle closing below, then you have to wait for the candle close below, right? Similarly on the 15M, so if you're not Wyckoff trader, you are just a 15M BOS trader, you are just a S&D flip trader, right? You want to see a breakdown of structure over here, whether or not it's a candle break or whether it's a wick break. Okay, and then trade the flip zone. Otherwise, you understand that there is another demand zone for you to get involved over here. So are we going to buy here? We're not going to buy here. Why? Because you're going to buy high, right? You're going to see prices starts to react towards this demand, fail to create a higher high, breaks down, then trade this flip zone. So this is one of the ways as well. Again, taps in, reacts to the demand, fail to make a higher high, breaks down, pull back. This is where you get involved in sells. So this is one of the ways where the Sharks Academy uses, and if you don't understand what we are doing, please do not use them. Okay, you are responsible for your own trading techniques. Whatever I'm saying here is not financial advice. So please understand this. Otherwise, you understand that we are still on the H4 BOS area, and this is our liquidity. Okay, this is liquidity, and this is a break of structure as well, right? Whether or not this is an inducement or not is a different story, but this at this point of time, this is a valid demand. I'm going to be a seller here, I am going to sell into this demand instead of looking for liquidity areas over here, right? If this area doesn't have a high, it doesn't create a swing high, and instead it's just a one directional breakdown, then this is a different story. My target will be at this level because now this is not a valid demand because this demand didn't break structure, right? This is an internal structure, you can see, right? Next up over here on USD CHF, you can see clearly we have a break of structure here. And my target for this range over here would be the lows, right? But you can see prices made the low, grabs liquidity as well, then started to move bullishly. So now this framework over here is bullish. So now are we bearish or bullish, right? Ultimately, this area here, if I'm going to be a seller, I'm going to sell high, I'm going to sell here. Which means to say that we are going to buy here towards this sell side. So again, we have a buy to sell. Okay. So now this is delivering bullishly. We have a liquidation, we have a bullish movement here. Right? This is a liquidation as well to go higher. So now how can we catch moves towards the upside? Because we understand that this is our liquidity area and this is a potential sell side area. 1 hour time frame, you can see demand zone, demand zone. 30 minutes, there's a demand zone here as well. So why are all of these areas valid? Because you can clearly see a manipulation play here. Let's see. This over here, right? Retail support. So we have a grab of liquidity, you can see. A breakdown, move higher. So this is valid for buys. All of these areas are valid for buys. And that is why if I'm going to be a buyer, I'm going to buy at all of this area. You can refine this towards the last sell to buy over here. And of course, operate on this entire demand area. So both are valid for buys. So am I going to look for an instant execution like this? I will not do this, right? I'll wait for a 15M. Liquidity, grab, break of structure, pull back, and this is how I get involved. And this is the same thing that is going to happen over here. I'm going to look for this. So if this doesn't happen, right, this schematic doesn't happen, then I'm not going to take the trade. So unless you know what you're doing, right, it depends on what you're looking for, right? You can again look for S&D flips, you can look for Wyckoff accumulation on the lower time frame. You can just wait for thin MBOS or H1 BOS, H4 BOS, and you can use any of your retail methodology as well, you know, like falling wedge, stuff like this. All of these are valid as well. So you are just working with a POI now, and you understand where is your structure on the higher time frame. This current structure over here is valid for buys. Right, look at this. Again, there is a lot of liquidity here, right? So if I want to be a buyer, I'm going to buy into these levels. So lastly, for dollar yen, you can see this entire framework over here is bearish. Why? Because we have a high, low, high breakdown. We have a huge distribution phase over here. So I am long-term bearish on dollar yen. Look at this. Buying climax, automatic rally, ST, signs of weakness, UT, UTED, break of structure. If I'm going to be a seller, I'm going to sell high. I'm going to sell here for sure. So we can have bullish price action over here to push prices higher before breaking down to go lower. And where will this target be? Ultimately, I'm going to target this demand. Okay, this is valid. And over here. So the sell side move, the range for the sell side move is so huge, right? It's from here all the way down towards this level potentially. Okay, and just based off sell limit entries like this, this is easily a 1:6.66, right? But this is on the daily time frame. You're going to probably hold for weeks or even months. Okay, I would say months, right? So now look at this break of structure. You want to be a seller, I'm going to sell high, I'm going to sell over here. So let's take a look at what is this. On the H4, you can see this is bullish price action, right? We have a low here, a low, high, a low. So all of these are just internal structure. And when prices break structure over here, the ultimate low that broke structure actually comes from here. So I'm going to be a buyer, I'm going to buy from here, this level. This is my buy level. Anything over here is creation of liquidity. All of these lows will be used as targets. And you can clearly see again, right? High, low, high, break structure. So now I'm a seller. Where do I want to sell from? I want to sell from here or anywhere inside here, right? You can see on the lower time frame, on the 1 hour, or on the 30 minutes. These are valid sales areas. Let's play around the time frame. On the 8 minutes time frame, we have this. On the 5 minutes, maybe. Okay, so on the 8 minutes, we have this supply zone that is valid, right? You can see the buy to sell, that block structure, right? So this is now valid for sells. So this, I'm expecting a move up to grab all of this over here before the breakdown. And this breakdown, a target area of this low over here, right? So this is my target. This one over here and this one over here. Okay, so if all of this demand fails to hold, we are ultimately going down into this demand, because this demand was created by the breakout structure here, right? Low, high, low, high. So if I want to aim for a liquidity area over here, if I want to aim for targets over here, I'm ultimately going to buy into this from this level. Okay, which means to say that we have a sell to buy, right? And whether or not this is going to make prices go lower is another thing of its own, of course. So now, then again, sell to buy into this sell area before going down. So this is the entire framework for pound yen, of course, right? Again, ultimately seeing this buy, sell, buy breakout structure. You want to be seller on the sell high, and this selling over here will push prices into this demand, this demand. Hey guys, before we end it off, I just want to thank you guys for watching our videos. And if you like what we are doing, please give us a like and a subscribe. We are a growing channel, and I hope that with all of your views, we can help us to grow our YouTube channel as well. So if you have any other ways we can improve our videos by means of topics or discussions, leave them in the comment below. And yes, with that, I'll see you in the next video.